explore the Please beg my pardon if I'm repeating myself. I'm just saying, welcome everybody. Over the past 2 weeks, we have explored the relationship between intentionality and authenticity and how to set authentic goals. So before we dive into today authenticity, maybe let me do a quick recap on our journey so far. Well, I thought I would start and the year of 2025 with the intentionality. And what's that relationship between intentionality and authenticity? And as we go along, we uncover how being intention act as the conductor of our authentic expression. We learn that authenticity without intention can be like an orchestra without a conductor, right? And we establish that true authenticity requires both honest expression and mindful consideration. And the key takeaway was intentionality help each one of us to express our authentic self in ways that create meaningful impact. And last week we went on to talk a bit more about what does it mean by goal setting, especially when in terms of authentic goal setting. It's about aligning our goal with our core values, not just achieving goal that's set, but alignment. And we explore how to set the objective that honor both our growth, our authentic self-expression, and of course the importance of setting the goal process. We discuss about that, and the key takeaway is authenticity help us to when we achieve our goal. Maybe let me put it in that way. Authentic goals serve as our north star for intentional living. And today we will be taking this insight and turning them into a daily practice. So we'll explore how to actually live this principle in our day-to-day life. We will talk about three things today. What is the daily practice like? The common challenge that we face, and how to build the authentic habits. There's loads to cover. So if you find this is useful and you want to explore more, drop me a message and I'm happy to share more with you. Okay? So maybe let's start about this daily practice of authenticity. What does that really mean? So I kind of come up with a few things. First thing is doing a morning reflection practice. Maybe when we start our day, we ask ourselves, what actually matter most to me today? So being very clear on what is important and using that as a clear intent to start your day. And things like when I face challenge to my authentic self, and when challenge, how would you like to show up? And how can I prepare for this moment? So notice when you ask these questions, what happened to your mind, to your body? Yep. So if you like, we can take this a little bit deeper and maybe I would say a little bit more deliberate. Maybe you start with a morning routine, like say about 5 minutes. Instead of just saying what is important to me today, be very intentional. Choose the core value that you want to practice today. I give you one example. Write one specific way you can express it in a day. Example, maybe my core value is of courage, creativity, and integrity, for example. And for today, I would like to focus on courage. So what I would do is I will speak up in the strategy meeting about the project risk I actually notice. So it's very deliberate, very intentional. Yeah. And maybe you want to continue practice that for the week or the month or for the day, and then you change to your next core value. But the more you practice, the more aware you are. Notice what's happening and notice the empowerment that you give yourself when you are deliberate. Another morning check you can do is they call it the energy value alignment. That means like check with yourself, how are you feeling right now in terms of your energy level, or check on your calendar. For example, you can reschedule tasks that require authenticity, like a feedback session in your peak hour. Because, for example, if you're a morning person and you find it's easier to have that honest conversation before lunch, because as your energy level deplete, you find it's harder and harder to speak up. Yeah. Okay. The next one I want to talk about the daily practice is about intentional conversation. Um, Here's how we can infuse authenticity into your daily communication. Number one, pause practice. We talk quite a lot about that. I think in our initial week, when we talk about being intentional and being authenticity, how does that work? And we talk about the mindfulness connection. So pause practice is a form of mindfulness. So take 30 seconds before responding to any messages. Ask yourself, is this response truly aligned with my value? So an example would be, instead of a quick yes to a project, pause and check if it generally excites you. If it's not, why are you saying yes? Yeah. Another one, we call it the authentic language framework. Replace your should with I choose to, I want to. Transform that I try into yes or no answer, right? Because if you are not ready to do it, you say, I try. What will happen? Yeah. And then when you fail, you say, I just can't do it. And then you blame yourself, whatever. But you say, yes, I want to do it. And you put your heart and commitment to do it. What happened? When you say, this is really not in alignment to who I am, then it's no. Why do you need to try? Example is, instead of I should be able to help, is I want to help. And I can dedicate 2 hours tomorrow. So how that sound for you? Another one I will talk about is micro movement of authenticity. Look at some small opportunity throughout the day, like meeting contribution, digital authenticity. Yeah, maybe write one authentic LinkedIn post weekly, maybe. Share a real world challenge and your learning. And for meeting contribution, maybe share one daring observation or concern. And even acknowledge when you don't know something. It's okay because we're not perfect. Yeah. And if you're watching this replay, type a one in the comment if you ever felt hesitant to share your true thoughts in a meeting. And happy to discuss further with you to overcome this together. The second one I want to talk about is navigating challenging situations. So the common workplace scenario that we see is about when we disagree with our boss or we say authority. So when we disagree with authority, instead of silent agreement or aggressive opposition, what can you do? Hi, Aliana. Good to see you here. Yeah, I'm just talking about the second practice. The first one was how to be intentional and a daily practice in the morning. And now I'm talking about how do we navigate challenging situations. Love to hear you to have some thoughts. So I'm going to share a few. So one of the common one I see is when we disagree with authority, what do we do? And a lot of us choose to have silent agreement, or maybe the other extreme, aggressive opposition. So how about this? I appreciate your perspective, and based on my experience with whatever the situation is, I have observed, this way might help in us achieving this. Could we explore the option rather than saying, yeah, I'll do it, but actually didn't want to do it, or just turn it around? So it's kind of showing appreciation for the authority or your boss, what they're saying, and offer your observation with the example and say, could we explore this option? I mean, what's the chance when you do that person say, no, this is my way of doing it? I think I don't think I think most bosses won't do that. Yeah. So the other one I seen very common is setting boundary. So a lot of people find it's very difficult to set boundary and they end up overcommitting themselves. So it's always be careful to before you promise anything or overcommit. So check in. Yeah, because you do want to deliver the excellent piece of work. So you want to be realistic about your own capacity. Are you, when you take it on, when you say yes, are you really delivering? And if not, do you want to show up that you're not delivering? Or you're just working till you drop? Yeah. So maybe you can try saying things like, to ensure I deliver an excellent piece of work on this current project, I need to be very realistic about my capacity and I can take this on by this date after this whatever project. Or we can explore after this solution. Yeah. Another one I find they about personal authenticity challenges. When your authenticity feel risky because you fear being judged, or maybe there's a career impact. So what do you do? Do you just, yeah. Oh yeah. Thanks, Ileana. The boundaries are good. The worker age gap can bring new habits that might not work for your business. Yeah, I think age is a big diversity topic because I think in the older days, I think people retire about 50, 55. So the age gap is quite small. But these days, as we live a lot longer, we work a lot longer. So by the time we're in our 50, we're still very healthy and we still work to like 60. And I think the retirement age is pushing back in UK. The retirement age, you're talking about 67. This is also quite the same in Singapore. I think a lot of places they are increasing their retirement age. But we have still young people coming join the workforce in their 20. So how do they all come into work together? They have such a difference. And when you're different, do you voice a difference? And if you voice, are you being authentic? And when you're being authentic, what does that mean to yourself? What does it mean for other people? Yeah. Well, I come from banking sector myself. So a lot of situation we see could be when you might have identified risk issue in a high value client proposal. And then how do you balance between that relationship management with the risk compliance? Yeah. So maybe the authentic response is I really value my relationship with the client, but because of that, I need to be transparent about the risks I've identified. So let me walk you through my concern and explore how I might address this for meeting your objective. So being honest, but being mindfully honest about what you say. It's not about like I have to say, well, this is my thoughts and then just share, but really saying that I value the relationship, but I want to express what I'm thinking of and we can see what we can do best about it. Yeah. So any example do you want to talk about? If not, I'm going to jump to the third one. It's about building sustainable, authentic habits. So I came up with a few acronyms. You see whether that will help you to remember. The first one I can think of is called the REAL method in practice. REAL stand for recognize your authentic impulse, examine the context, align your response, and learn from the outcome. Okay? So when we recognize our authentic impulse, it means that we develop kind of self-awareness through our daily check-in. The first one that I talk about, do an early daily morning check-in, or maybe set your intent for the day as in like, what is the core value I want to practice today to be very mindful? Is it courage? Make sure I speak up in the meeting. Yeah. set your intention. So notice what's happening for yourself, and notice that physical and emotion signal when you are in your authentic self and speaking up. An example could be feeling the tension when you're asked to present misleading data because that doesn't feel right and that's not authentic, right? So recognize your authentic impulses. And then, of course, examine the context. Everything is on context basis. What is the environment? Who are the stakeholder? What is the timing? What is the impact? So example is understanding what is a quarterly pressure versus the long-term sustainability. How do you balance out between the two? And then align your response. So choose the communication style that honor both your authenticity and the context. Because a lot of people, I find, is if you have a personality style, let's say you are more of an introvert, you're not comfortable in speaking up, what do? You keep quiet, right? But if you keep quiet, what will happen? Nobody knows. But if you are I'm just giving you some extreme example. If you are a very extrovert, everything you would just say it out. Again, what when you say it outright, what would that mean for the people? So it's kind of honoring who you are, your authenticity, how you prefer, as well as noticing what is the context. Wow. Yeah, and I love to hear more when you say when it does not feel right. You say stop the reflect and then make your move. Love to hear more. What do you mean by when it doesn't feel right and make your move? Do you mean by going away from what you're doing? Yeah. Yeah. So go back to this real method in practice. So first thing, recognize your authentic impulse, examine the context, then align your response. That means choosing your communication style that honor yourself, but also honor the context that you're in. And you craft a message that bridge the truth with the other person's needs. Not either or, but for both. Because it's important that you want to be true, but you also want to be um, thoughtful and considerate to the other person's needs. Yeah. So example here I could think of is, maybe this number shown a positive growth, but I believe we need to address some underlying trend to ensure that this growth is not just this round or one off, but it's more sustainable success. And the last thing, the L, stand for learned. Whatever we do, whatever we reflect, ultimately is that learning. What have we learned from the outcome? And whatever you learn, document what worked and what didn't, so we can adjust the approach going forward. And another one, I think, very important aspect of building sustainable, authentic habits is to ensure we have supporting system. Yeah, I mean, if you are not with a supporting system, it's very difficult to be in an environment when everybody disagree with you. How do you continue to be authentic? Elena, thank you for sharing this. I love what you just said. Sometimes we have time to actually move away from situations when we do not feel right. And sometimes we must think quickly on our feet. But the important point is to know that we are in control of our journey. We are in control of our authentic self. And I think this come back to what I say earlier part about the instead of saying I should, I better, is I choose, I want to. So when you choose to be authentic, what does that mean? Does it mean that I move away, or does it choose that I stay on? And if I stay on, what does it mean? And when I choose, I'm also be willing to face the consequence. That is the choice. Yeah. And I'm going to move on to talk about creating supporting system. When we build an authentic circle, we identify true teller, especially in an organization. We also create regular check-in routine, because if you are able to have I don't know, let's say a monthly coffee chat with your trusted colleagues or friends who are like-minded and provide honest feedback, what would that be like? Yeah, I think it's going to be very powerful, because sometimes, sadly to say, in our workplace, we have too many people who say things because they don't want to upset people, or they say things just to make sure the other person is happy because it means something to them, they can get something out of it. So where is the true honesty? And honesty does not mean that you have to be blunt, but honesty with consideration and honesty with respect. Yeah. And the other one is, maybe it might be useful to find or work with a mentor, for example, especially in an organization. Look for leaders who demonstrate authentic leadership. And then, of course, establish clear expectation for mentoring. Example, that admire how you maintain your principle while navigating complex situation. Would you be open to have regular discussion about authentic leadership? Something like that. I think that would be very useful. I mean, if that is not feasible, where can you find the kind of relationship to help you to stay in your truth, to stay in your lane? Yeah. And of course, creating the safe place for practice, like starting a small group discussion. Yeah, I don't know, but this is something that we can talk about. I would love that. I think it's very empowering that when people come, when we're all authentic and come together and we share views, and does not mean that we have to agree, but at least we can be true and we can be honest. And we can also realize that, oh, actually, this is how I see. And actually, other people doesn't agree with me. Maybe it's not that their view is bad or they mean to undermine me, but just that I haven't get to see, I didn't realize where they're coming from. Yeah. And the third one, I just be quick. We have 3 more minutes. Sustainable implementation strategy. That means that look for the 1% rule for authentic growth. Like, just really focus on small, consistent improvement. The one that I just say in a morning routine, you can focus on starting your morning routine with like a value identification, or energy value alignment. Notice how your body is feeling, the energy level, as you set up your day, your intention for the day. Yeah. And of course, a very important thing is a recovery practice. How do you bounce back when from authenticity mistake? What I mean is, we want to be true. Sometimes when we say things, even though we are being true, we realize that it's not helping the situation. How can we learn from that? So always convert that setback into a learning opportunity, which is why we want to reflect. So now what? What can I do? What have I learned? And how can I continue with my authenticity truth, but yet be respectful and more mindful of the context of the people that I work with? Because we are all wanting to be the truth. That's what I believe. But how can be our truth not hurt somebody? Likewise, how can the other person to be true respect us that's not different from them? Yeah. And then check how have been you been doing. And before we end, maybe Ilya, I just share maybe one authentic habit you can start maybe tomorrow, or maybe, yeah, would that be, yeah. I'm going to put here, right? If you can, anybody who hear this, think about share one authentic habit you can start tomorrow, or What's a bigger obstacle that you personally find or you have noticed um, in your workplace in terms of maintaining authentic habits? I want to say, reminder, the goal isn't perfection, it's the progress towards that authentic life that is more important. Yeah. So if this is good, I would yeah, hopefully the real method checklist is useful, and the morning practice that I offer here is also useful. And we will speak more next week. And next week is Chinese New Year, so I'll be going live from Singapore, and I'm going to talk something quite unique. It's called about the authenticity and the intentionality with the wood snake year. Okay. Until then, I will see you.